play all of this. Alright, so just pretty that. That's where we left off. I do pick up little things and keys, open doors, open that guy, mark our thing. This is two tasks. And then when we die, we get respawn here, and that's pretty much it. So today we're going to go over getting this dude to move, because right now he's kind of just chilling. And then once we get him to move, we're going to set up an endpoint from below and start doing UI stuff. At that point, we will have a beginning, middle, and end, and you will track, collectibles or whatever. From then on, you guys can expand it however you like, or not, whatever. So left off on AI. Just to recap this real quick, we have our actual AI con, who doesn't really have any code in them. We essentially just use them to assign this mesh and set up our character movement settings and things. But otherwise, they're kind of just chilling. The controller is the one where we have we're telling it to run the behavior tree. And this is also where we have our perception stuff set up. So this is where we have our AI perception components, which handles our sight and all that sort of stuff. You can set hearing and things like that here as well. And then when our perception changes, or when we see something that we didn't see a second ago, we check to see if it was the player. If it was, then we stop the timer if the timer is running, and start this up and say, hey, we know who these are. And if we basically lose some of them, then we go from here and stop. So after 3 seconds, we'll keep looking for them, and then we'll stop doing this and lose control. The behavior tree and the blackboard are the two pieces that actually run the logic for the AI. So the blackboard is where we assign all of our stuff. This is also where I'm going to actually assign a new key. This is going to be our destination. And actually, I'm calling it control destination, so to be more specific. And then we also have the player character and has visual, and this is just a default that so we've assigned, like, hey, these things exist, these are their names, this is what type of thing they are, and that's pretty much it. And then over here in the behavior tree, we get to essentially assign tasks and then use this information as inputs for conditions for doing the tasks or not doing the tasks. So in this case, has visual is the condition for whether or not we attack the player or the patrol. If player has visual is false or not set, then we're going to be in here. If player visual is set or is true, then we're going to be over here. But if it's false, then we can't get over here. So it'll come down, selector will hit this, be like, no, can't do that, and then pop over here. This has the added benefit of if you finish a control, so we go in here, do this stuff, wait 5 seconds, pop back out. Nope, still on season, control again. Same thing here, if we come down here and is set, and we attack you, and we wait between 1 and 5 seconds, and then we pop back out here, and boop, we attack you again. So we never go over here because this isn't an option. In here then, we also have our tasks, which we're using inputs for. So in this one, rotate to face enemy Blackboard entry. Player character is the entry. So this is the thing that I'm telling them to rotate and fix. I'm also going to back this down to like 3 degrees. That's 20. And then we're going to tell it to attack. And again, I gave it an input. This isn't. This is a regular input. And then same thing here. Wait has inputs, but it's just a regular input. Over here, same thing. This is currently player character and player character. We're going to change these to destination and destination. Now, we need to make another one where we actually choose a destination. It's going to go over here, and that's going to be our last one. So, I'm going to go ahead and make a new task, and then again, the task is the individual like piece of the module we're going to run when we hit these. So, task, basic task. This is going to be our control point. BTT for behavior tree task. And then, just like last time, we're going to do receive and execute. We want the AI one because we are running AI. You can also find this stuff from this list over here in the overrides. So now we're doing this. So when we find this, we want to look for a spot. We have not yet defined spots. We can do this a number of ways. We can either I can either in here make a variable to hold the control points, and then we can set them in level, or I can make a separate actor that's going to be my control point, and then I can just assign them to this dude, which is what I'm going to do, simply because it would allow me to do more complex stuff in the future. So if I wanted to have a dude who, went to 2 or 3 or 4 different spots instead of just one, we could set that up this way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and real quick make a new blueprint class. So it's actor. It's going to be control point marker. And all this is going to be is an arrow component. And I'm even going to just change this up so that it's easier. And then back to the character. And we're going to add nope. Go away. From points. Markers. Access array. And then I'm also going to make another one. This is going to be my control point, integer, and so we get stable. Just want to know which one I have time. And that'll stabilize. Nice. And then custom made down here. Actually, try anything. So, custom is going to be to basically pick the next control point and then actually I'm going to make this function. I don't know if I'm trying to. So some points. Get my control points. Get this control point. You can get both length or last index. Length is how many there are. Last index is the last index. So basically, this is +1, this is minus. We're going to use the actual last index because I'm going to use this as an actual number for the indexes. So wrap this, max of that, limit of this, so that. One. So now when this function happens, whoops, what we're going to do is add 1 to the current control point, and then wrap it using the maximum, or using the last index as our maximum number. So if there are 3 control points, and this one's already at 3, and I go to 4, this is going to wrap me back around to 0. Make sense?
Yeah.
Actually, I think I need to do -1 for this, because it does not say inclusive. Actually, yeah, no, just is inclusive. Other questions? Set timer by event. Yeah. So the set timer, let me back that one real fast. So set timer by event, just because I didn't notice that. This is setting a timer. The timer is set for 3 seconds. When the timer goes off, it's going to fire this event. That's pretty much it. This is a reference to the timer object, basically, so that if we see you again before, so essentially if I lose track of you and then I catch up and I see you again, I can stop the timer. So that I don't, can't slap. This is essentially the amount of time I'm going to be able to not see you after seeing you and still chase you. And then once this 3 seconds is up, this will fire and we'll no longer chase you. Okay? Cool. Yeah, so this is going to do that, and then I'm going to do a get, and get, and we're going to do a get, get rotation, and we're going to return this value. So when we call switch control points, we're going to change the current control point, and then we're going to find that spot and then return it so we can go to it. Once I compile the state here, we're going to go back to our find control point thing here, pull up my control pawn and pass to my enemy tanker, and then call my I think I'll find it. Switch. Let's control points. And then I need to add my destination thing, and this is going to be a Blackboard key selector. And then turn this little eyeball on. Get, and then set value as vector. Boop, and then boop. And then, provided that happened all successfully, we're going to finish. And we're going to say yay. And if it didn't happen that way, we're going to say no. Right. And then if I go back to my Blackboard, or my behavior tree quick, I can now call my find control point BTT that I just made. And you can see my control destination here is going to be control destination. So now this should work. So let me go back out to the model quick and drop me 2 markers and tell the guy that he's got them, and this should be good. So control point marker. Oh, here it is. So there, alt, drag, so it's over here. Yeah. Click on this dude. And then right here in default is my control points. So I can hit this little plus because I need 2 of them. And the first one is going to be that guy right there. And the second one is going to be, second one is going to be this guy right here. And then now we hit save and play. We went to one, but we didn't. Maybe wait. I want this thing to go away. Alright, so F8, and we're going to go check out why he's not moving. So wait 5 seconds. Invalid location. Why are we invalid? Alright, so let's hit stop and take a look. So let's bring in here. One, like, keep going one, right? Keep going one. Wrap. Okay, okay. So we're gonna go ahead and move that. Okay. Print text. Format. Okay, so now I can print out all of these. Find out why we're being like this. All right, hold on. And again, and look for a little under 2 seconds this time. Wonderful. Let's try again. So 0 plus 1, 1, 1, good stuff. 2, and go back to 1. Why are you doing that? That's not how wrap works. So, back over here, we're going to do -1 because let's try this again.
Whoa, intense.
Yeah, F8 slide over here real quick and see. Alright, good stuff. He's not walking, but that's okay. We didn't set that up anyway. But he is going back and forth, so good stuff. Alright. And he does shoot that. So, then we go ahead and close, or not close, but get rid of this shit. So, for everybody's wondering what the problem was, is that this, even though it says inclusive, apparently only means that B is inclusive, not A. So, heads up for later usage. There, yay, good stuff. That's all it works now. Does anybody have any questions about any part of this? How it works, why it works, anything we did so far? Good stuff. Alright, so our last thing here is essentially gonna just be setting up an endpoint. Um, and this is gonna be very simple. After and now you can do whatever you want to do with this. I'm just gonna throw in a particle system and a little like archway and call it a day. Um, um, like that, and then right here we'll do anchor system. And then we'll just have this be a should more or less be that. Let's go ahead and actually this is 2D. How many ones? Let's go with add a little collision box. Just to make sure you can't jump over it. Do any weird stuff. Save. Yay. Over. Also, I'm going to set the collision on this because I only want this to overlap my attacker and nobody else. So, not earning set bonds. And then we're going to here, and then we're going to add a variable, and this is going to be next level. Actually, I'll do that. My name. Object level instance. Yeah. All right. So all I gotta do now is drop this in the world. Of course, I did the wrong one. And actually, it's not. 60. Stay right here. And I get to pick which map I'm going to send it to. So that map flag and run. I'm gonna get that thing trigger to come back now because we just had a bug. Yay! And we win. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it is.
All right. So, again, any questions about anything we did so far?
Looks good.
Alrighty, we got 20 minutes left.
I'm thinking some audio. Do you have any audio clips?
So what?
How about some audio?
Audio? We can do some audio if you want.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we can move on to doing UI stuff too, but yeah, we'll just find out. But
Okay.
I did want this to. Change it to so after you press a button that's on. I mean, so if you have a reference to the projectile, you can just set velocity and then that'll change it. But yeah, so every time this dude dies, we want to. We're going to get rid of this stuff. Care about that anymore. Yeah. Movement, we're going to go ahead and get, and then. Save, and then so now if I hit play, hopefully. Good stuff. All right. So to do sound effects and stuff, it's very, very difficult. You have to basically go in here and let's see, where's my thing? Attack player. So right here, we're asked to my projectile. If I want to do a sound effect, I essentially have to go in here and type in play sound.
Yeah, the irony.
Either application or 2D, and then that's it. So very easy. I don't actually have anything here right now, so I'm going to grab one.
Is there a need for spatial audio in this project?
In a 2D one? No, not
No,
really.
okay.
So placement in 2D just means play it like as like the UI sound. So like essentially just right beside you all the time.
Yeah.
Playing at location, and obviously you can get more in depth with audio. And I'll talk about the settings here in just 2 seconds. I want to just real quick. Sound effects, sure. We'll just pick a. Really guys.
Yeah, there's no sound coming through, but it's okay. We'll just get our own sounds. Yeah.
So basically, if you want to run and find the sound effect, we're going to have to do this as a dot wave. So not an MP3 or whatever, dot wave. I, I can really quickly like add starter content, but that's a lot of bullshit I don't want on top like for that. So but basically you go in here and do this, and then hit this little drop down button. I do actually have more options. Concurrency settings are basically like reverb and stuff like that. And then if I do place sound at location, this actually will give me options for attenuation and the initial params. I forget which one that actually does. But so come here to where'd you go? Audio. That's it. So sound attenuation is like the distance and stuff. So if I pop into here, I don't need this for this, but I get to decide. Number one, like, does it have attenuation? So if I turn this off, it's just a 2D sound. The attenuation function will let me decide how I want it to fall off, basically. So linear, logarithmic, inverse, blah, blah, blah. This shape. So is it a sphere, is it a cone, capsule, box, whatever. Inner radius is how long, or is how far away from the source it sounds full blast. And then from 401 centimeters from the source up until 3,600 centimeters from the source, it will fall off linearly. And then down here's your spatialization. So this is where you can decide, like, should it be on one side versus the other side or whatever. But there's a ton of settings in here. Again, reverb, stuff like that. You can play with. So you can get kind of deep into the sound stuff. There's also meta sounds, which is basically a synthesizer menu that's here in Unreal. It's its own editor, just like the Machinima graph or the Blueprint graph. We're not going to have any time to touch that, but it does exist. But yeah, so basically you can do either one of these two things and essentially just play the sound either flatly or at a location, and then you can play with different settings. Concurrency settings, just real quick. Okay, so this is just how many times you can, like, this just is as a limiter, so you can't, like, play it over and over and over again if you don't want to. So, like, how many of these sounds can play in concurrently, basically. Which, in hindsight, is pretty self-explanatory. Anyone have any questions about how to add sound or any of these settings? Actually, one of the controls do that. This one is like, so now if I decided that I wanted to out here on the behavior tree in my attack thing, I now just have an option for the sound. So I can pick a sound when I decide that, when I download, I can just pick one and throw it in. Or if I decide that, I'm going to do, other attacks, I can pick a different projectile and different sound. But if there's no questions on any of that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and real quick start setting up the UI for this dude, and then we'll finish that up next time with like a main menu or something.
All right.
Or like leaderboard or something like that, because we didn't really do it last time.
All right.
There's no questions about anything we've done so far today. Everybody's all good.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm going to real quick make the UI. Or actually, I'm going to add the UI for this. A little player status thing, number of coins. Actually, this is fine. We'll go ahead and do the main menu thing now. I don't know how we did that last time. So, real quick, platformer. We're making a new level. It's going to be my class. Platform underscore. Make a new pawn. No, wait. Not one. Player controller. Game mode. Game mode, we're going to come in here and assign my controller class. Main menu. Close that. Player controller class. I'm going to go ahead and turn on cursor and click events. Get my pawn and disable input because I don't want to move. To create widget and add a viewport. That'll more or less be all we're going to do in here. I just have to actually make a widget now, and we're good. Interface, widgets, user widgets. Menu. Canvas panel. Platformer. Button. Text. Text. Play. Play. Save. Clicks. Clicks. Real quick, rename this. And then button. Button. And then play button, we are going to put object reference, third person. Okay. Let's save. Do. So now if I hit play, no. Game override. Main menu game up. Now I hit play. Perfect. And quit, if I hit play, and hit play, play. Alright, good stuff. And then, real quick, I go back to here, and I can pick the main menu as the level. So if I back to my main menu, hit play, hit play. Somehow survive. Run out this way. We're back to the main menu. I can hit play again as many times as I want. Nice. Alright. Now the game's a full loop, and we could technically package. We should technically package it now to make sure that nothing's broken, and then go back and start polishing. Last time for any questions about anything we did today. Right. All right. Yeah, go ahead. I got a couple minutes left.
Whoa, pretty
So since you're starting it, go ahead and open up your. Yeah. Okay, so so go with what this is doing real quick, because this is your own function. Okay. So you see this return value here at the end of spawn active? Yeah, so on the spawn active now, see the return value, the blue pen? Where's my little pen? I just saw this stupid pen a minute ago. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so this guy right here, okay, that's your reference to the actual projectile. So you need that, and then you need to tell it, hey, your velocity is this now, not that. So when you push a button and you want it to change the velocity from going forward on X to forward on Z or negative on Z or whatever, you want to that's how you want to hold it, and then you can set velocity. Yes, because that's the way you get a hold of it later. If you use multiples, you probably want to make it into, you probably want to promote this to an array, or you want to turn this into an array and then add it. You have to manage the array at that point. Unless all of the, yeah, because I'm assuming that not all projectiles are going to be yours. So, you have to keep track of which ones you actually own, and then you can change that. Or just keep track of the last one you shot, and that's the only you have control over. That depends on, that could be a mechanic or a feature or whatever. Limitation. Okay, so if all of them are yours, then you can, instead of keeping track of all, you could do a get all access class. You just want to check if there are any access class before you do that. But like you can do it that way and then actually just call everyone on all of them. Go back to your real quick. So Austin level space.
Okay, I mean, like, assuming that that's
Going
going
through?
through?
No.
Uh,
Because so after the branch, you're setting the reference to nothing, and then you're calling it. So like you're not actually doing it. Delete the step right there, and then come over here and go grab a get from your. So grab your reference again over here on the left, and do a get this time. So do it like in the variable step on the left. Yep. Yeah, and then connect up the white pin again, and this could now do something. Make them go backwards and up. So I'm not sure what you're what steps you're trying him to go when you move. Right? Like, are you trying to get them to just go up, or like what's? Okay, so just get rid of the negative. Just get rid of the negative one on the x. Like just leave so just leave x on 0 real quick, and let me see what that does. But I'm pretty sure it'll just keep going like in the direction it was going, and then go up. Interesting. Let's see here. Do me a favor, actually. I'm gonna roll here in a second, but change the rotation instead. So pull off your projectile movement here, and just do a step rotation. Not projectile movement, off the projectile reference. Yeah, just rotate the whole thing, because that may or may not take care of it. This is like individual degrees. Do something like 30, just to like make sure, just see if it does anything. C probably won't do anything for you. I think probably just want to turn it on. That's yeah. We'll try that real quick. Okay, yeah, I did do shit. Alright. Yeah, no, I go back to just adding velocity to it. You also try adding an impulse, but I don't think that this is actually running off real physics. Pull up projectile reference and type in add impulse. Is the sphere the root, or is the I think the flip book's not the root, right? It's the sphere. Yeah, okay, yeah, so add the impulse to the sphere. And then just put like 200 on the Z. And then if that shouldn't slow you down on X at all, it should just push you up. Or yeah, 2,000, whatever. Just so we know what's going on. And then as long as you have that velocity change box left not checked, it won't change it, it'll just add to it. So if you check that box, this will be the new one, and if you leave it unchecked, this will add to it. Try with a much higher number than 200 though. Number like, I don't know, 20,000 or something. See what happens. There you go. Okay, yeah, no, that's not having any effect. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't necessarily just turn off, so I thought. Yeah, so you're gonna have to turn up, yeah, velocity off the line, but that's just not enough. Yeah, use a much bigger number. Yeah. Like, I'm assuming that it's not the same property as the actual velocity on the projectile thing, because that's set to 1. So I'm assuming when you actually set the velocity, you're gonna have to get it like, the speed you want to go in that direction. So I would bank